So I know this one song is coming out, Patience, yeah? When is it coming again? Because you moved the date,
Uh,
the release date, yeah?
yes, so 9th of April, so 4 weeks.
Okay, so I can't really talk about it because I heard the song and I think it's great, Patience, but you can talk about it. So do you wanna tell me more about, like the general feeling, what it is about, like yeah, and how it's different maybe from your previous project as well when it comes to the sonic level?
Yeah. Well, I think definitely from the get-go, it is a lot more energy when you compare the kind of sound to Seattle Fix. I think Seattle Fix was a little bit more chilled out. There was big drums, but there's also this sort of ambience, something you could kind of just relax to and kind of just vibe out and enjoy. Whereas I feel like the direction that LIVSKA is going at the moment, and something that's really refreshing for me, I suppose, it is very driven, and it is very sort of upbeat, and there is a beat you can follow. There's a beat you can dance to. But I've also managed to weave in a bit of those sort of dreamy guitars that I can't not have. So there's sort of little elements of Settle Fix that because I mean, I suppose those guitar parts were me in Settle Fix. So I mean, it's not, it's still sort of me bringing into this new project, slightly differently. But yeah, I suppose the sound is a little bit more electronica. It's a bit more sort of alternative pop, um, as opposed to sort of indie rock, um, or sort of chilled out, indie pop, I suppose, before. So the sound is definitely a little bit more driven, a bit more upbeat, a bit more poppy, I suppose, as well. But definitely more electronic instruments, which is something I've been really interested in, and just very scared to dive into that world. And Adam, the producer, kindly held my hand through that, the start of that experience. And yeah, it was just there's just so much. There's so much out there. So I was just, yeah, super excited to try new sounds, new synth instruments, and really just experiment, because this is, as I said before, this is a new project. You have all the freedom and control. You can do whatever you want. There's no strings attached, really, which is the best part about it, because you can just be so carefree. I'm going to add a harp in here, and I'm going to add, you know, this crazy synth, this crazy, drum beat. So I think just having that yeah, thinking about that when you're going into this new project really just kind of makes you feel like, yeah, you can literally do anything you want. If it sounds great, let's go with it. There's no strings attached, I suppose. So that's that's the comparison side. The song Patience, I suppose this was, as I said before, written pre-COVID. Um, and the message kind of behind that was, it's about sort of the struggle. You're longing for something that you can't have, and you're sort of fighting that temptation to kind of give back into it because it's easier. Whereas the message of the song is kind of, some things, sometimes you kind of need time for things to sort themselves out, so you need to be patient, hence the name Patience. Um, and so, yeah, pre-COVID, that was sort of the message. And I thought during COVID, I thought, oh my God, wow, this has so much more meaning now when people are literally locked down from, loved ones, friends, family all over the world. And you just want to reach someone that you can't,
Mhm.
especially when you have regulations saying you cannot leave, you have a curfew 8 o'clock, so it was really, yeah, it just felt like COVID gave it so much more meaning. And I think people will be able to definitely relate to that feeling. Um, so yeah, that's sort of the storyline of the song. And yeah, so it's the first track. I hope that yeah, it gives people an indication of the kind of musical direction I go. But yeah, I suppose because you've heard the Seattle Fix stuff, and you've heard
Yeah.
obviously a sneaky preview. Is that what do you think? Do you think it's a bit more sort of pop driven, a bit more sort of faster, upbeat, but still got the sort of ambient guitars?
Yeah. Yeah, so when I listened to it for the first time, well, and we'll talk about it in a minute, I really kind of focused on the lyrics and on the vocals. But it is a slightly different direction from Seattle Vix, but I think it's a more kind of like modern one, if you know what I mean, because there's a lot, I think electronic music in general kind of drives the narrative a bit these days, but I think it's good and you can do amazing things with it. and it's got this more poppy feel as well to it. But then I was listening to it and I was like, there's something I recognize. And then I paused and I was like, what is that? And I was like, yeah, that's the guitars. So I guess that
Yeah.
that comparison that you made at the beginning now as well is the exact one that I had, the impression. So there is the new stuff, or like the new direction, but there's definitely something of the Live I know from Seattle Fix, which I think is good as
Yeah.
well. Because that's something that I always kind of like relate you to. So it's you and the guitar. I feel like, and maybe that's just my impression, that you think of yourself when it comes to like musician, that you're a better instrumentalist than you're a vocalist. Is that right? Or is it just my impression? Because I think you come, the lyrics are always, and like the vocals are always so shy, and they were in Seattle Fix, very gentle and delicate. But here you've got so many vocal layers. I was like, wow, that's the new Live kind
Yeah.
of for me. So how is your
Yeah.
feeling about it?
That's so interesting that you picked that up, because yeah, that's definitely accurate. I think with Seattle Fix, I was always a little bit scared to kind of say what I really felt. So I was always a bit reserved in the lyrics, and then I'd just put so much reverb on it that you couldn't even hear what I was saying
Mhm.
anyway. So, and there were sort of minimal harmonies in the Settle Fix stuff. But yeah, I suppose the with the new direction, some of the tips and advice, working with Adam, he was just sort of like, push your voice, don't hide away from it. Make it. It's going to be, if you want to kind of write that kind of music, your voice needs to be at the front. And so yeah, just kind of, I suppose, gaining confidence and, not being afraid to have my vocal at the front, not, saturated in reverb where you can't even actually hear what I'm saying. It's like, no, no, you can really hear what I'm saying. And that's also very scary because it's very clear now what I'm saying. But yeah, that for me was very different part of the process. That was something very different for me. But something I suppose I think it's definitely helping my confidence in my vocals,
Mhm.
and so I'm hoping that, with the live shows, I won't just feel more stronger on, the instrument, but it's actually, no, no, I'm actually really confident to sing this as well, which is another part of the reasons why, another part of the reason why I'm kind of looking forward to kind of stripping down the songs as well, because then it really makes your voice even more prominent.
Mhm.
So just I suppose it's more about just pushing my boundaries, my musical boundaries, and getting me out of my comfort zone, because I think it's very easy to kind of sit and go, yeah, that works. I know it works. I'm not going to take that any further. Whereas here you can say, no, no, let's, your vocal's going to be here. It's going to be clean, and we're going to add lots of vocals, and we're going to get vocal samples, and we're just going to go crazy. It's going to be vocals everywhere. And so I got caught up in that process, and I thought it was just really eye opening. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I should try something different, new direction again, freedom to do whatever you want. So kind of took his advice on that. And now I kind of understand why. It's like, oh, I can actually hear what she's singing about. I don't have to ask her to decipher what she's saying. So yeah, definitely the vocals has been a change in focus for me with the new stuff. And it's definitely now at the forefront every single
Mm.
time, and with the other tracks as well.
That's great. And have you ever had vocal lessons, or are you a self-taught vocalist?
I've had a couple of lessons years and years ago, and I do watch sort of YouTube videos about how to warm up my voice before a show or before recording, because
Mhm.
yeah, I know what it feels like when you don't. And
True story,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So it's not, yeah, it's really bad. I'm trying to get into a better habit now of essentially when you are warming up for a show or any sort of performance, it is like, warming up a muscle, that you're going to work out that day. So vocals are really important, and especially because it's just me. So there's no one else really to
Mhm.
rely on if I can't sing or can't talk. So yeah, taking a bit of care with the vocals, and making sure that you want to give it the best performance it can, and not be so afraid to kind of stand behind it, but sing strongly, I suppose. And so yeah, I am I haven't taken any lessons for a while, but I'm thinking of just, I think it's a good idea just to kind of make sure you're checking with the vocal cords, and just making sure that you're not straining it in any way. So I think that's just important for any singer, really.